Okay, I want to kind of speak to the elephant in the room. There's been a video that came out recently about yourself, Fred, with respect to SOGI, which, for the listeners who aren't familiar, stands for Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity, a policy that was brought into the school board system, or the BC. I don't know if it was BC schools or just the city of Vancouver.
BC.
And BC schools. And there's been some talk, including one of your former NPA school board candidates, Tony Dong, who stated your comments as being bigoted and prejudicial. To clear the air on this, can you provide the listeners and viewers an idea of where you stand on this policy?
Yeah.
And maybe even to start, help clarify beyond just the title of the acronym being Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity, what it actually means and where you stand on this position.
Yeah, this is really important, and I'm really glad that you brought it to the attention, because it wasn't only Tony Dong who said that this was bigoted, my statement was bigoted and wrong, but it was Ken Sim came out and his team came out about me being homophobic. So let's be clear about what I said. And I said that the program, the way the program was rolled out, was wrong. And I used the term foolish, and my statement was probably clumsy, right? But basically what I was saying was not controversial, because I was saying parents need to be involved in programs of controversial programs that go into school. And this was an issue about LGBTQ youth in schools. LGBTQ youth were not engaged in the program rollout, and that was the other thing that I said. So I also recognized and said at the time that SOGI is two things. So there's SOGI, which is an enhancement to the BC Human Rights Act, which is about, obviously, lesbian, gay, transgender youth and people. And so no one in their right mind is going to come out against an enhancement to the BC Human Rights. That's what we're all looking for. What I also said, but then there's SOGI 123, and it's SOGI 123. That's the name of the program that's in the schools and how it was rolled out. I said it doesn't go far enough, because it only protects the LGBTQ youth inside the school. It doesn't protect them outside of the school. It doesn't do anything for vis-min kids, right? So my comments were about, we need to do something that's better. We need to engage LGBTQ youth, and we need to engage parents. Again, it's not controversial, but I was in the process of a political process, and so my words were spun around, and I know that Drex was going crazy about this homophobic man who's now leading the NPA. Nothing can be further from the truth. Now, people were saying to me, I need to apologize, and I should make a statement, and I did a statement 4 years ago. But here's the reality: is I know who I am as an individual. And when these statements were being made about me, they took up less than 1% of my brain power, because I wasn't interested. I know who I am, and people who know me and know me for my entire life know who I am. But what I realized is it was actually hurting my kids. And that's where I draw the line. And that's where, when I called out Ken Sim as a liar, because his statement was factually not just in error, but it was egregious what he was saying, egregious what his party was saying. One of his people wouldn't even shake my hand when I walked into the room. And now that they know that that's not who I am, now that they know that Ken Sim made this up for a political point, now there's an issue of integrity. Because I know my integrity is intact. But if you're going to use this just to either pull away my votes, great. It's a politics. We understand that, and I have to fight, and I have to earn every vote in the polling booth and in the privacy of that polling booth. But now that you know that it's a lie, and you still refuse to shake my hand, you still refuse to engage with me, the integrity is an issue for the ABC party. It's not an issue for me.
Right.
Schools must be a safe place for everybody. Transgender, gay youth, questioning youth, bisexual youth need to know that they're safe and that they can be themselves inside the school. But not only the school, but in society. So I have advocated my entire adult life for diversity. When I was a cop in East London, I was dealing with I was in my mid-20s, and I remember dealing with a same-sex marriage case, or same-sex relationship case at the time, where there was a lot of violence involved, and I reached out to Stonewall. I had to scrape my inspector off the ceiling by the time he'd finished cleaning the floor with me, right? Because I reached out to Stonewall, and I said, look, what are we going to do? How do we do this? And they said I was the first police officer that they'd ever spoken to. When I came to Vancouver and I drove around with a pride flag on the back of my car, and some colleagues in the police department saying, hey, look, you really need to take that off because I'm parking my car every day outside the police station. I was like, of course I'm not taking it off. I believe in this, right? I was the cop in the community police service who wanted to make sure that we got the West Vancouver Police Department into the Pride Parade, and we never did. I think they are now. So just about 10 days ago, I had to say goodbye. Thankfully, it's not a permanent goodbye, but I had to make a phone call to a very, very dear friend who I've known since I was 15. And he was going in for an operation, and he's a gay man. And he came to live in Vancouver because I was living here. And he was 14, I was 15, and we have been best friends since I was a child, or like a youth. I don't have to parade my apologies around anywhere. So, but I think apologies are due. They're not due from me. They're due to me and to the NPA for. I'm 58 years old. I'll be 58 years old very soon. I got a lot of flaws, and I've got an ex-wife, right? And you can find, if you dig deep enough, you'll find the flaws. You don't have to.
We all have flaws.
You don't have to make stuff up, right? You just ask me, and I'll probably tell you what half of them are. And I'm sure my current wife will talk about, I can't wash a fork without leaving something on it, or clean my socks. So I know it's politics, and I understand it's politics. Don't harm my children.
Yeah. Well
Don't
said.
harm my family.
Well said, Fred. Thank you.